guys, welcome back to another episode of Bake In. Today we're going to be making a strawberry and rhubarb galette, which is a lot easier than making a whole pie and perfect for these beautiful summery days. Let's get started. Alright, so to start we're going to be making the pie dough. So first I've got 180 grams of plain flour here. I'm going to add that in with about a tablespoon of granulated sugar, some salt, it's about a half a teaspoon, and then we're going to go in with an orange and we're just going to take the zest of it and use the same technique I showed you before. This way, not this way, so you get really nice strands of orange zest. And I'm going to use the whole orange. It smells amazing. So fresh. And you can use any citrus you want. You can use lemon, which would go really nicely with strawberries and rhubarb. I'm just opting for orange. It's what I have at home. Also, it's a nice twist on it. There you go. So I've taken, I think, like 99.9% of the zest off this orange, which is great. There we go. See? Nice and clean orange. And now I'm just gonna whisk this together, and that's just gonna distribute the orange zest and the flour, the sugar, and the salt, so it's all seasoned really nicely. Now, all we need to do is add the butter and the water, but I'm gonna show you a really neat technique of how to incorporate the butter into this pie dough. I left my butter out and it's too soft. So I put it in the fridge for it to chill, because you need cold butter for this. Alright, so as you can see, I have got a silpat on my surface just to protect it as a non-stick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually dump the flour right in the middle. And then I've got 70 grams of butter here that I've just cubed and chilled. Put that in. And I'm going to toss the butter in the flour to coat it and break it apart at the same time. So this is a very different way to make, I'm just going to get this all off. Ooh, it smells so nice and fragrant from the orange in here. What I'm going to do is with the rolling pin, I'm going to roll the butter so it flattens in between with the flour. What that's going to do is create really nice flat layers of butter. And if it gets stuck to your rolling pin, that's okay, just scrape it off. And it's going to come together at some point, but first we just need to keep rolling this butter out into the flour. And this is going to help us get a really flaky pie dough. The butter is going to be flat in between the crust, in between the flour, to make a really nice crust rather than it just kind of being bits everywhere. Can you guys see these strands of orange in there? That's why I like to do it in that direction long, so I can see the orange. It's just beautiful. It's actually quite fun. This is the joy of baking. It's more so like playing with your food, isn't it? Can you see those butter flakes? They're sticking up a little bit. They've all been coated in flour and they're nice and flat. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna use a scraper and some ice water to bring this together. I'm gonna drizzle over, oh, it's gonna spill everywhere, of course. So I'm not kneading it per se because I don't want to overwork the gluten. I'm just folding it into itself and just cutting it just to make sure that all that dry flour does get incorporated. Excellent, so that's looking good. So I'm just gonna shape this into a disc, and that's it. So now I'm just gonna take this, wrap it, and chill it for about 30 minutes just so that the butter cools down again and everything is the same temperature, nice and cold. Alright guys, so let's make the fillings. Quite simple, it's strawberries and rhubarb, and what we're going to do now is we're going to actually macerate the two. So I've got about 325 grams of strawberries that I've just quartered here, and then I've got just about 275 to 300 grams of fresh rhubarb seasonal. I'm going to add some granulated sugar and a bit of brown sugar. I'm just going to toss this together with my hands to coat the berries in all the sugars. I've added quite a bit of sugar, although the strawberries are quite sweet. Rhubarb can be a little bit less sweet. So I just want to balance that out. And it is a pie, so it should be sweet after all. So I'm gonna let this sit for about 30 minutes and so all the juices can release, and then we're gonna do something special with it. So see you soon. Alright, so these have been sitting, the fruits have been sitting for about 30 to 40 minutes now actually. And can you guys see how much juice there is in this? If we didn't let this macerate and we just put the oh my gosh, the fruits. We just put the fruits in the pie crust like this after coating them in sugar and a bit of cornstarch. Would have had a very soggy crust, and I hate a soggy crust. To prevent it, we're going to now strain these beautiful juices, but we're not going to throw them away. We're going to reduce them and then use them as a glaze to finish. They are looking beautiful and glossy though, really nice and pink. So it's gonna be a beautiful galette. Strainer. I'm just gonna pour this, make sure I scrape it all, so I want all the juicy goodness. There we go. And cramps. Ouch. So much beautiful juice coming out of these berries. Really nice and pink. Berries are in season right now, so I'm quite excited. They're gonna taste really nice. I always recommend using a seasonal vegetable. Oh my gosh, a seasonal fruit for galettes because it just showcases their color, their flavor, and it's really, really pretty. So get as much of it out as you can. Perfect. And then I'm just gonna put it back into the bowl that they were in before. And just set this aside because we're gonna use them in a bit. And turn this on and reduce it. We want this to, let's use the same spoon. We want this to get to a nice syrupy glaze consistency, so we'll reduce it by about 2/3 or so. Just let it go over like a medium to low flame. While the sugar is hissing away. So strawberries have a natural pectin in them, which helps thicken sauces per se. So when you're making a jam, you don't need to add as much pectin in it to make it a strawberry jam because it's got it in it. So with this, strawberry juices have released some of the pectin as well, so it is going to thicken naturally as well. I don't need to add too much to it. Or actually, I'm not adding anything to the glaze. The sugar is going to help kind of make it really thick and syrupy so we can glaze the top with it. Alright, so I'm going to take it off now because I know as it cools, it's going to thicken up a little bit as well. Got a beautiful consistency here, and let it cool. Alright, so we're going to come back in with those berries and rhubarb and strawberry mix here that's been drained. And to this now we're going to add some vanilla bean seeds that I've just scraped out from a pod. They're going to add a beautiful flavor. Vanilla goes really, really nicely with both strawberries and rhubarb. And then I'm going to, I'm going to sift some corn flour on top, which is also cornstarch. And I'm just going to mix that in then. Just shake that over, just don't want any clumps. And what this is going to help do is thicken the berries as they cook, so they also form a really nice juicy sauce, but it's not too thick and not too wet, just like you like in a pie. And it will change the color a little bit, but that's okay. As they cook and the juices are released again, it'll make a really nice sauce. Oh, I can smell that vanilla. And that's it, guys. The pie filling is done. I'm gonna set this off to the side while we roll out our dough. The pie dough is nice and chilled now. So what we're gonna do is roll it out, send that in. And I'm doing it on a piece of parchment paper because I'm going to use that same parchment paper to transfer it onto a tray before we fill it. So I'm just going to do a little dusting of flour just so my rolling pin doesn't stick. Not too much. And I'm going to start by just pressing it with my rolling pin to start the process. And then I'm going to rotate it. Do it again. God, look at all those specks of orange. This is great. And just roll it out gently into a nice round. And it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the joy of galettes, is that they're rustic and beautiful. So I personally love the ruffled edges that you get with a galette. Have fun with it. Baking's all about experimenting and having fun and enjoying yourself. I don't want it too thick. Thick enough that it's like a crust, thin enough that it's not too heavy. There we go. Beautiful. So now here's another little trick that we're going to do, which is also going to prevent a soggy bottom, because I want it to get really crispy on the bottom. You can actually like pick it up and eat it, and just delicious. So what I'm using is digestive biscuits that I've actually just crumbed into a fine crumb like this. You can use ground almonds, graham cracker crumbs, anything really. It's just not going to add too much flavor, but it's to absorb any of those really extra liquids to prevent the crust from getting too soggy. So what I'm going to do is just sprinkle this in the middle, and we're leaving about a 1-inch border bare, which is what is going to form the crust. More crumb, the crust, more crumb. I'm just gonna pat it out. Pat it. I think that's good. Excellent. So that's great. Then I can't even speak today. We're gonna come back in with our beautiful fruits that I've had sitting on the side here, and I'm just gonna put these into the middle. Oh guys, it looks beautiful already. Such nice colors. Gotta love a good fruit season. There we go. And you don't want it to be piled high. A galette is supposed to be quite flat. So I'm just going to go into my hands and just shift them around a little bit. Excellent. Just giving my hands a rinse. Okay, so now what we're going to do is fold the edges over the fruit filling, just on the edge. Just fold it over. So again, nice and rustic. And the reason it's also nice to use parchment is you don't have to use a lot of flour, and it just doesn't stick to it, which is lovely. So I love galettes because I personally love a lot of crust on my pies. I feel like a galette is the best of both worlds, where you get enough fruit filling, but you get a really, really good amount of crispy crust, and you can really do whatever you want with it. And it's easy to make, they're beautiful, seasonal. Oh, it's just, they're such a good thing. Ta-da! There we go. So initially, I was supposed to transfer this onto this before I put the fruit filling on, but I got so excited that I forgot. So So we're gonna do that right now. Luckily it's on a piece of parchment paper, so it should just be able to lift up and slide. There you go. I would not recommend doing that at home. Definitely put the pastry on the sheet first, then fill it, then fold it. But if you can, go ahead and do this. So what we're gonna do now is this is gonna chill in the fridge for another 30 minutes because I wanna cool down that pie crust again. And I want it to get really flaky in the oven, so I wanna chill that butter. While that's happening, I'm gonna preheat my oven to 220 degrees, really nice and hot, with a rack on the lower shelf for it to bake. So see you guys in 30 minutes. All right guys, so it's been chilling, so it's really nice and cool now. All we need to do is brush it with an egg wash so it gets really nice and golden, and sprinkle it with a little bit of demerara sugar for a bit of a crunch. Just gonna brush it nicely, and my egg wash is just 1 egg with some water that I whisked together. And if you don't have an egg, you can use cream, you can use a little bit of milk. I just like the golden crust that you get with egg. To each their own, whatever you prefer, whatever you have on hand. Awesome. And now, while that's still wet, I'm going to sprinkle some demerara sugar. So this will also caramelize a little bit as it's baking, but add a really nice crunch to the crust. And it's really pretty, so why not? So I'm going to bake it at 220 for 15 minutes. That's going to help it get really crispy and golden brown. I'm going to then reduce it to 180 degrees and cook it for another 10 minutes to just make sure it's all cooked through. See you in a bit. Alright guys, so it's done, it's cooled, it's perfect, it's glazed. Man, I am so excited to eat this now. I just want to show you guys the bottom of it. I mean, I can even pick it up, but see how crispy the bottom is? Can you guys hear that? It's just crispy and it's golden brown and juicy, and oh God, it looks so good. I'm super excited. I'm gonna put it on a plate, and it slices up beautifully too. Got a little bit of vanilla ice cream here. You can have this with ice cream, custard, whatever takes your fancy. I'm in the mood for ice cream. Just look at that. It's a perfect slice. It's got a bit of everything. Everything. Where's my accent coming from? All right. Hands down, I think this is the best thing I've made on Bake-In. It's perfect. Sweet, it's tart, it's got a really delicious crust, perfect with the vanilla ice cream. You get the orange in the crust, that vanilla bean throughout. It's not soggy, it's not sloppy. Oh my God, you guys, I'm so happy. This is the best. I think I might eat the whole thing. I'm not giving this to my neighbors. No way. Well guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Bake-In. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want today's recipe, you can find it below in the comments. Stay tuned for next week and we'll make something delicious together.